Okay, now I have my chipboard frame and I'm going to emboss onto this using this Wow embossing powder that's a gold glitter. Now I like to use a gold ink as well, so that if the powder doesn't stick in any places, it doesn't look like you can't see it's patchy or anything. So I'm going to take this Brilliance ink pad and I'm just going to go over, because it's a dewdrop and it's pointed at the top, you can use it to just go over the top there and wipe it all the way around. Now I do quite like the look of bare chipboard, but when you're working with laser cut chipboard like this is, you can sometimes get some of the black residue still on the piece, and I don't want that showing through or getting off onto any of my other papers. So now I'm going to put all of this, cover it in the embossing powder. And this is a much cleaner way to do glitter as well. I love glitter, but I hate finding it everywhere for weeks. So there you see I've got that. I'll just put that aside for 1 second and put all the excess embossing powder. You see I've just done this on a piece of scrap paper. Put all that back into the pot so nothing's wasted. So now I'm just going to put this back on the scrap paper. It's probably best to do this on a heat mat if you've got one, but mine's all messed up from art journaling onto it. So I'm just going to start you can see now that's all set. Let's come back to my base sheet of paper, and I'm also just going to give this, just to make sure that the spray is dry, because it's not been there for too long, so I'm just going to heat this with my heat tool as well, just to get rid of, I can see some of it's not properly dry. I will normally either heat it with a heat tool or I'll get some tissue and I'll dab off the excess colour. So at this point I'm just going to go back in with a little piece of sponge and I'll just dab off any additional colour, and make sure you use a clean piece each time, because otherwise you might transfer some from another area and end up smudging. So now I'm going to get the rest of my kit back over. Now I've got all the messy stuff out of the way, all the sprays and the glitter, and I'm going to get my green patterned paper, and I want a couple of bits for this. So I want one piece that's going to go across the centre of my page, so I'm going to cut this to about 6 inches tall, maybe just a little bit more, 6 1/4, and I'm going to cut it to about 8 inches wide roughly. So that's going to go here, and then I'm going to cut another piece that's just a 12-inch strip. Because I tend to work in a block in the centre, I like to keep a little something somewhere else on the layout just to kind of draw your eye around what I'm doing. I'm also just going to cut a strip of the hearts off this 12 by 12 paper as well. Now I'm going to turn this around so I'm working upside down, but this will actually be facing you the way up it's going to go. I hope that makes sense. So these will overlap at the bottom here. This will sit here, more or less. And then I'm going to bring in the paper bag to go on top. Now I won't stick anything down just yet. I like to move things around a little bit and make sure I've got everything exactly where I want to go. So I think the photo, I might overlap. I don't like things that are too square. If I put everything kind of central like this, you can see it looks a little bit boring. Everything's kind of framed and framed and framed, which is not very exciting. So if I offset the bag a little bit to one corner and I move the, well, maybe like that. Yeah, I think like that. And then that gives me a little bit of space, because I want to bring in this journaling card that says dream big, be happy, be kind, enjoy life, smile. So I might tuck that, I think, under there. And then I'm going to take my frame and I want to put one of the journaling cards behind it. Now I really like this heart confetti one, and I'd like that behind it. Now I want as many of the hearts in the frame as possible, so I'm thinking somewhere around there, and I'm just going to cut that roughly. And I'm using glossy accents. I'm going to put just a little bit. I always keep a pin in the top of mine because it stops it clogging up. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the edges here. And glossy accents dries quite quickly, so you won't have to wait ages for that to dry or anything. So I'm thinking I'm going to put this here, in this corner here. So I think that's pretty much the basics of what I want. I might just put, I feel like it needs a little something here, so I'm going to cut, this is the 4x6 heart journaling card, and I'm just going to cut a little strip off of this, so, and then cut about an inch off the bottom as well. And I'm going to make like a tab to go here, so I'm just going to round the corners so it looks properly like a tab. You can see I've covered up most of the spray that I done earlier, but there's still a little bit down here, and I probably will add some more in again at the end, along with maybe a couple of sequins or something like that. So I'm just not sure about the positioning of this this chipboard frame. It's the only thing I'm sort of struggling with. It doesn't seem to fit properly, but I'm thinking, yeah, I think there. I'm going to actually do my journaling in here. I'm not going to bother with a big title because I feel like this kind of says it all, and my journaling will explain the rest. Okay, so I'm going to start using some double-sided tape to stick everything down where I want it. So I've already put this tab into place. I'm just going to move a couple of these bits off the top just to make it a little bit easier. Good thing about this chevron is that it's really easy to line things up and know if you've got them straight or not. So I will then put this bit under here. Now I don't stick things down too securely because I do like a little bit of texture in my layout, so I like things to stick up a little bit. I know other people like everything to lay really, really flat and no texture and things like that, and that's fine. This is just my personal preference, is I do like a bit of, I don't know, dimension, I guess is the word. Then I'm going to use my tape on this bag. I think when you put it in the album everything flattens down a little bit anyway, but while it's out and I'm looking at it, I like it to be a bit more dimensional. So this I'm going to put here, down just a touch. So I think I was roughly here somewhere, more or less. I use a bit of extra tape on this chipboard frame because it will need securing in place a little bit more. Or you could always use your red line tape. I haven't got mine to hand, but so I'll just pop this down here. And then my two little strips at the bottom, let's pop this little strip in here. And again, I'll just line up the corners. And then what I'll do actually, because I've only really stuck it down the bottom, is I will just run my thumb underneath just to get a little bit more dimension in there. And I think what I'll do, I didn't want to add too much into this layout because I want to show how much you can do with the kit by itself, but I just feel like it needs a little bit of to tie this gold in. I want to tie the gold in down here, so I've got this stripe washi tape, gold and white stripe, so I'm just going to take a piece of that quite randomly and put it just at a bit of an angle there, and then I'm going to put this strip of hearts in Oops. See, this is why I don't use too much adhesive, because then you're stuck and you can't correct. There we go. So you can just see that little bit of gold just peeps out, which is what I was looking for. So now I'll start to add a little bit more embellishment into this. So I think I will start, I really like these bows that come with the kit. So I think I might, yeah, I think the grey, I really like the grey. I'm going to get my glossy accents back out again, because it's great for fabric and all kinds of things. And just put a tiny bit on the knot. You have to be careful with fabric and glue that the glue doesn't soak through and ruin the look of the fabric. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and it will set just in a minute. Probably won't be set just yet. I'm thinking maybe a few of these cork dots. I really like these, and it's great to have a way of bringing them in. And I quite like the look of these bright bold patterns, and they're set against like these natural materials as well, which is really great. So I think that's why I like wood grain tape and things like that. I always will sort of steer towards that. I'm going to add in just a little bit of journaling in here. Kind of obsessed with enamel dots at the moment. I've got lots and lots of different packs. I'm trying to figure out if any of these would be suitable. I like to have odd numbers in my groupings. I think it looks better to have odd numbers. So I'll bring in the pink one down here. Let me just turn this around and have a quick look and see if it needs anything more. Do you know, I think I'm happy with that. It's not overly embellished, it's not overly fussy, but it's got, you know, it tells a story. There's actually a bit of room here as well, which I really like. If I remember something later, I can pop it on a journaling card and just pop it in this bag, so I can have, you know, a little bit of hidden journaling or something like that in there, which is, so that's a really good idea to use this as well. I have just noticed this is one of the snip and stick sheets that comes with a kit, and I just spotted this black heart, and well, it's dark, very dark grey, and now I want to use it. See, there's like a little gap here, and I don't really like that. I think it looks a little bit strange, so I think I'm going to use a pop dot. These are from 6-2. I'm going to use that on the back to give it a bit of dimension to stand out against the chipboard frame. But I think that now I'm happy with that. So I hope you like my little video walkthrough of what I've done with the kit. Obviously would love to see what you do with your kit, so if you want to leave your links on my blog or on my Facebook page, please feel free to do so. I'd love to see. Thank you, bye.